Social hours done.
Okay. Hey, thanks.
Thanks.
Hey, John, how we doing today? I think you're muted, John.
Yep.
Yep, there we go.
Kyle didn't want me saying anything today.
Kyle's really got you on silent mode, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, so now that you've made it through basically 14 of your spring practices, did you get everything accomplished that you wanted to? And how good do you feel about where you're at?
Yeah, we did. A lot of it, as we went through it these last couple of weeks, identifying certain situations that were critical and don't show up all the time, but throughout a season can pop up, and we wanted to get identified. So we got those taken care of and at least got introduced. The guys understand what we're trying to get done in those situations. And then from a holistic approach, what we want our offense to be, what we want our identity to be, setting a foundation, which we were able to do. So I feel real fortunate that we got through what we did get through, and especially when you look at from where we were a year ago. So I'm excited about where we're at and want to finish this thing up the right way Thursday.
You obviously, as a new offense coordinator, brought in some new plays, new schemes. How did the team react and adapt to those and learn them?
I thought they adapted well. There's details within it that as each practice progressed along, you saw guys understanding where they fit within the route structure and the details of the route that I thought guys started to own those details. And, I know when you look across the board with it's Coach Bailey, it's Coach Booth, Coach White with the running backs, but you could tell that in the meetings, they were getting the stuff covered that they needed to, and guys were taking it from the meetings and applying it to the field, which I appreciated that part of it. And then for the quarterbacks, it's continuing to understand the progressions and their decisions are reflective of how much they know. And when the ball starts going to different spots within a progression, I truly understand and feel confident that they know the play. And when the ball's just going to the same guy over and over, I get nervous that that's the only part of the play they know. And so I was happy to see that with some concepts that we implemented this spring, see the ball start being distributed to different places with different coverages, and they're starting to get a hang of it, but we're just scratching the surface of where we want to be.
John, how much you've talked, it sounds like Jonah's been the main number two behind Toddy at quarterback. How have the two true freshmen, Luke and Chance, I guess, how have they been adapting to what you guys have been able to do? How ready will they be to legitimately compete for playing time come August?
I think a big part to your question of how ready they'll be is how much they want to put into it and how much they want to dive into this so that they can learn it, because that's the biggest obstacle is, we're meeting and we're working through this and I'm teaching it and it's a lot about how much do you do when you're away from here and how important is it to you. And I think we'll have a great sense of how important this game is to them by how much they continue to develop in meetings, how engaged they are, and are they answering questions the right way, because there's a huge opportunity to steal reps even when you're not getting reps on the field, and that's studying film. And we got a big volume of tape with all these concepts that we run, so they got to take some ownership and progress and continue to learn the system and take pride in that they know it. I think they have ability, but the biggest piece is going to be the knowledge. And between the two of us, I got to get them there, and then they also got to take some ownership of it on themselves to be studying this when they're away from here.
How important is it for those other guys to develop to the point where they can push Todd so that Todd can't just coast through fall camp and be the guy?
It's very important. Competition brings out the best, and yet I always say that the competition within yourself is the most important, because if you can drive yourself to be the best that you can be, then you're going to elevate the play around of the guys around you. But anytime that you got a guy who can that can compete and can press the guys in front of them, then you're going to bring the best in the room, and that's what we need to continue to do.
You mentioned that competition brings out the best. Is it a difficult balance wanting to emphasize, physicality and competition, but also, keep everybody healthy in the spring?
Oh yeah. I think that's a really important piece, and I think that's where, constantly talking to the offense and defensive side, special teams, like guys do a good job of understanding really what segments we're in a practice and understanding how to get to spots and fits and routes and all the different things, but also take care of each other. Because at the end of the day, we want this thing to be we want to be all in it together come the fall. And so you want to have highly competitive situations, but you don't want to be stupid either. And I think our coaches do a good job of explaining that, and our players do an even better job of understanding it and implementing it in practice.
Hey, John, I
you
think
kinda
we all
have-
know that we've got, like Trey McBride, Dante Wright. We all know you're moving forward with guys like that. But who are the guys this spring that have caught your attention that as you start, planning for fall, you want to get them involved to see just what they can do and if they can be a part of this?
Yeah, I think you look across the board, like certainly starting with tight end, you mentioned Trey, but I like what Gary's done. Gary's, he's worked at it. He's been detailed in his approach, and he's shown us some of his skill set, whether it's inserting in some of the run game or, on the edge and his ball skills when we split him out and being able to be a factor in the passing game. I like what he's done. Certainly Dante has done a lot. I thought Ty McCullough has done some good stuff. He's continued to work. He had a little bit of a bump in the road with an injury where he missed a couple days, but he's shown some stuff, some flashes where he can build on. And, and then you get in the backfield and you look at guys, that are still developing in the position, but Ajon and Tanner Hollins, guys that I think are starting to understand how they fit and how everything works together, and got a lot to build on from a lot of reps this spring. So there's pieces to it, and we got to keep developing them as a coaching staff to make sure that we maximize this next phase that we're going to jump into with end of spring and summer.
How important is it for coaching staffs, when you look at you in spring camp now, any injuries you had, you can heal them up. But that 8-week cycle of being able to let these guys lift before they start like voluntary summer workouts, how important is that to the development of this program?
Are you talking about the one coming up or the
Yeah.
one before spring ball?
No, the one after spring ball. I mean, you
Yeah.
really, with you ending this early, you get a chance to get a full lifting cycle with Scott.
I think it's huge. It's a big part of the development. There's multiple phases within the year, and each one carries its weight of importance. But that development in the weight room, we want to be the strongest, most physical, fastest team that we can be, and a lot of that is developed with Scott and the guys in the weight room throughout that phase. So I think the guys being able to understand what the priority is within each phase. Right now, we're closing up on spring ball, where a lot of it was football driven, understand the pieces to the puzzle, how they fit, building our football IQ. And once we jump into the next phase, we're not going to stop growing that football IQ, but there's definitely a tilt in where you put your attention, and that's going to be in the weight room. And we want to make sure that guys are getting bigger, stronger, and faster each day.
John, I'm sure you came in with kind of an idea of what you want the identity of this offense to be when you took the job. At the same time, now you're looking at, who you actually have to execute those things. How much has that maybe changed what you want to be, or are these guys a good fit for what you want to become?
Yeah, it's really enhanced that vision, because now I get a chance to see how they fit. And I think that was one of the big reasons why I got this opportunity was Coach Adazio and I were very aligned in what our vision is. And there was a lot of similarities to what we had done at Wisconsin. And so I was excited to see implementing, a lot of the new stuff came really in the drop back game, some of the passing game, and see how guys handled that and what their skill sets were. And we got the base, we got the foundation in, and I think we got the change ups in, and now we just got to hone in on the details of it. But going into it, I feel confident that what my vision was going in, coming out of spring, like I said, it enhanced that vision, if anything, and we got a lot to build on this summer.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. No, you got to go
All
to a meeting.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks
John.
guys.
Thanks, John.
Morning, fellas. How you doing?
Hey, Chuck, how you doing today?
Doing great.
This is Mike Brohart. Hey, did you get everything accomplished on the defensive side of the ball that you wanted to this spring?
Yeah, I think in terms of what we set out to do objective wise in the spring, in terms of installation, in terms of situations, all of that. So yeah, I feel good about where we're at. Got a foundation built. Of course, that was abbreviated a year ago with what had happened. So you're always scrambling to try to get your foundation in there. But I feel like we got it all in this spring, and guys have a general understanding of what we're trying to get done. And so it's certainly something to build on.
I know a lot of us know who your core guys are that you're going to naturally move forward with, the Patchins, the Stewarts, DJ, guys like that. But are there younger players, other guys that kind of caught your attention that are now in your fall practice? Got to watch these, develop these guys?
Yeah, I mean, guys played in the past, but had a nice spring was Devin Phillips. He's a guy that's a little forgotten and all, but he's had a nice spring for us, and Troy Golden's a backup guy who's had a nice spring for us as well. Got some young linebackers, Bama Mina, and those guys are coming up, those young linebackers. So Tavian Brown had a nice spring. In the back end, we got a bunch of young corners, freshman corners, trying to find out which guys can make the contribution. Of course, we had the transfer guy as well, which was good to have. So yeah, there's an influx of players that we had a chance to really challenge them and see how they compete. And we got good information on them and something certainly again to develop and go to move forward with.
Chuck,
you
how
were
nice has
before-
that veteran D line been to work with this spring and just to kind of help your overall defense move forward?
Well, that's a great place to start on any defense. You think of any really outstanding defense, it's usually have some outstanding defensive linemen. So it's a great place to build your defense. It allows you to, to do some things, as a result of that. And now that we kind of know, not kind of, we do know. I mean, it lets you build your defense around those guys. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that you got the right guys on the field in the right times because those guys are all capable of making plays. So it's a great thing to have. And like I say, you're going to have a good defense. You're usually going to have a good defensive line.
I was going to say, how much do those guys help the guys behind them develop?
Well,
by
they
just
have a
being
high
able-
standard. Yeah, they do a great job. High standard Coach Smith sets for them. They work hard. They demand a lot of themselves. And then it's obviously then their mindset to help other guys too. They encourage other guys to live up to the same standard, but they've earned that right by how they go about their business and the abilities that they have.
Chuck, you had one of the more aggressive defensive units in the conference. Given that you have so many guys returning, does that give you even more flexibility as a play caller to kind of open it up, or is it more of just trying to build off what you accomplished last year?
Well, the good things were the good things, but the bad things were the bad things, So our focus has been a lot on a couple situations that we really failed at, and we were good in some really important ones like sacks and TFLs. Those are great things, and rush defense. Those are great things. And you should be able to build a great defense around that. But there were some other things, red zone, for example, we're not very good in red zone. And third down and long, which should be a winning situation for defenses, we were not very good. We get those things corrected. We improve those things along with what we have. You have a chance to have a good defense, but you need to win those situations. But the good things are good, and most of that returns. So we should be able to continue on that direction, which would be great.
Got anything else for Chuck?
I guess final thing, Chuck, would just be how you talked a little bit earlier on about the secondary and developing. You brought in some new guys. How has that progressed throughout the spring, and what are your hopes for that unit going into fall camp now?
Well, I mean, there were specific positions that we need to improve. You mentioned guys in the spring. Guys had a really nice spring. Is Taiwan Francis, who's been around here for a while. Great special teams player. He's had a really nice spring. At safety, Logan got hurt a couple weeks ago, and so Taiwan started getting all those reps as well. And so he's another guy. So I feel good about him and Logan at the same spot there. We should be able to have a good play at that position. The transfer corner, Linwood Crump, I mean, he has some skills. He's played some football, so he brings something to the table. Rashad Ajayi's had a really good spring, and improved significantly from last fall. So I just look at things positionally. I say, we got to play winning football. This position has to play better, and so those guys have all shown significant improvement, and so we have a chance to improve. As I always tell the players, I mean, how do you get better? Well, you improve the player or you replace the player, and otherwise you don't get better. If you have some pieces of the puzzle not performing at the level that you have to, then you have a year to improve those guys, improve them, and that's certainly the challenge. If not, hopefully you got guys who can replace that. That way you get better. Otherwise you don't get better. So I'm encouraged in the positions that we felt like we had to get better at, that we have gotten better, and I'm encouraged by that because, like as you pointed out, we've got some spots, some positions are very strong, but game of football is 11 spots. I mean, can't put 2 or 3 spots out there that aren't functioning at a winning level and expect to win. So that's our goal. And I think we've moved a significant step towards that.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Y'all have a lovely day.
You too. Do we know a time frame for Thursday yet?
Yeah, Thursday starts at 12:01 a.m.